I'm at the corner of LaSalle and Lafayette Streets here in downtown Ottawa, Illinois. Ottawa, Illinois is a town of about 20,000 people located at the junction of the Fox and Illinois rivers. You can also reach it via road. Illinois Route 71 and 23 pass through Ottawa, as well as Interstate 80 and US Route 6. There are a couple ways to get to Ottawa from Bennett. You can take the Interstate 55 south to 80 west, or you can take Ogden through Naperville and hop on Illinois Route 71 that will take you southwest through a couple smaller towns to Ottawa. Right behind me, Abraham Lincoln debated Stephen A. Douglas for the Illinois Senate seat for the Senate election from Illinois in 1858. Ultimately, Douglas won that election, but this debate, later on at this series of debates, I believe there were 7 total, Douglas at Freeport issued his famous Freeport Doctrine, which doubled down on popular sovereignty, disagreeing with the Dred Scott decision that had been issued the year before, saying that, the people of new territories have the right to choose if they would like slavery legalized or not. Freeport was a little out of the way for this video, but it was at the debate there where Stephen A. Douglas doubled down on his opposition to the Dred Scott decision issued by the Supreme Court a year earlier, which stated that enslaved persons were considered property, they could never be citizens, and that Congress had no constitutional authority to ban slavery anywhere in territories, which prompted tons of new questions about the legality of slavery and its future. Douglas opposed this decision, citing his favorite policy, popular sovereignty, which had huge ramifications on the election of 1860. Ultimately, this will lead to a fracture, or this led to a fracture in the Democratic Party in the election of 1860. Remember, there was a northern candidate and a southern candidate. Douglas, the champion of popular sovereignty, did have a lot of support in the North, and it's likely he would have been able to contest Lincoln in a lot of northern states if there was a unified Democratic base, but John Breckinridge mainly ran in the South, supported the Dred Scott decision, which led to this bitter division in the Democratic Party. Again, if you look at the map, Lincoln's winning the North. It's likely he would have lost a few of those states with a unified Democratic candidate, but we'll never know. This series of debates in 1858 also elevated Abraham Lincoln to a position of national celebrity. A lot of people maybe were not familiar with him before. He had only served 1 term in the U.S. House of Representatives way back in the 1830s. Was mostly just kind of a prairie lawyer in Illinois, and this series of debates made national headlines in newspapers, and more people became aware of Abraham Lincoln as a result of these debates. In addition to the giant boulder marking the spot of the very first Lincoln-Douglas debate in 1858, there's also a few other things to check out at the park. This is one of the 215 sites on the Looking for Lincoln tour, so if you got it in you to go check out all of them, you can knock out one of them here in Ottawa. Also in the center of the park, there is a giant statue commemorating the Lincoln-Douglas debate, a very tall Abraham Lincoln, 6'5", with his counterpart, the little giant Stephen A. Douglas. In another corner of the park, there is a Civil War monument that was built and dedicated way back in 1873, less than 10 years after the Civil War, a very old Civil War monument still standing today. About 15 minutes east of Ottawa is a town called Marseilles, or Marseilles, where there is the Middle East War Conflict Memorial, which I believe is the only of its type in the country. It's located along the banks of the Illinois River, which was very flooded after all the rain when I visited. As this is Memorial Day weekend, I'd like to thank all the service members for our country, both past and present, for their service to our country. Perhaps one of the most powerful images I saw here was this photograph I took of the wall where names are still being added. We have fresh names, and I hope and pray that this wall will not be completed. That's about all for the video today. If you'd like to visit all of the sites I've showcased in both my first and second video, if you start out in Ottawa, you can actually hit them all up on your way home by traveling along US Route 6 or Interstate 80. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.